Hey guys, it's Jordan with your weekly refuge video. As always, I hope you're doing well. We're back in the room in person, but if you can't make it, just know I'm going to keep making these videos so you can keep up with what we're learning and studying here on Wednesday nights at 6:30 at Refuge. We're going to start a new series, a 3-week series called Like Me. Now, growing up, I developed sort of a catchphrase. And that catchphrase was, "It's not fair." In fact, my 3-year-old son Lincoln started saying that recently. And I called my mom and told her, and she said, "Ha, payback." I didn't even teach him this. He just developed it, this instinct that he looks around and sees injustice. And he starts screaming and stomping his feet and yelling and crying. It's not fair. And it's like, oh no, this is what I was. There's a few times in life where I still think this. Maybe you do too. For instance, you'll study really hard for a test and not get the grade you wanted. Meanwhile, your friend didn't study, maybe got the answers from a friend right before and got a B. It's not fair. Maybe your sibling, they don't clean their room, they don't listen to your parents, they still seem to get all they want though. And you feel like I handle my business, I take care of stuff, I try to be responsible, and I don't get the attaboys. I don't get, the pat on the back I think I should. It's not fair. Maybe you have to share a car with a sibling and you're like, I pay the gas, I keep it clean, and then they don't, and they still get to use it. It's not fair. We can go on and on watching, the sports team get out of class early and get extra help on the test or whatever. Right? All these things I talked to you guys about, I get it. It's not fair. And as an adult, all the adults, all your life group leaders would say, we get it. We look around and we'll still say, it's not fair. We'll feel that inside ourselves. I could keep going, but I'll tell you this one. You guys grew up with the internet and social media always being a thing. It's new for us. And so I can distinctly remember as an old guy, first time getting on social media, it's really cool, it's fascinating. And then you scroll a bit and you get the darndest feeling. This weird feeling, you look and you start saying, wait a minute. It's not fair. Like you look at their lives of people doing things, you start comparing. And it absolutely can deflate you. For instance, you'll scroll and see somebody went on another dream vacation. And it's like, they just went last month. That's not fair. Now, I'm married to a travel agent, so maybe I'm that guy. I don't know. But still, you look at people in their lives, it's like, it's not fair. Maybe this happens to me. Somebody goes to the concert I wanted to go to. And they're putting it all over their story and so excited. It's not fair. Here's some serious stuff. Maybe you, like me, grew up in a broken home and you're being carted from one household to the other over the week and the weekend. You look at these kids and good for them, but their families are still together and you start to think, that's not fair. Maybe a group, a family, the whole crew. They're just really good at sports. They score all the points, they get all the accolades, and now they're getting scholarships to go to the colleges they want. And it's like, it's not fair. I just don't have that talent. Or maybe, and this is probably one of the worst, there's just some good-looking people on social media. And you start comparing and looking and being like, I don't look like that. And I'm just trying to clear the acne off my face. And these people can't even look good in an outfit. They look good in everything they wear. It's not fair. He has the newest that, she has this. It's like, we get this. I know you understand what I'm saying. And I can go from feeling good about my life to not feeling very good about my life in about 10 seconds just from scrolling through social media. And I don't just get disappointed or upset. That's part of it. I get ticked off. This is an injustice. This isn't right. You guys know this already. In addition to feeling bad, though, we start to assume that other people have the perfect life. We'll look around, we'll look at them and think, they've got it all figured out. Wow. We look at what they put online and we match it to our life and we start to think, well, their life looks better, they look better, and so their life must be better than my life. So when that happens, how do you respond? There's a few ways we can respond. Number one, you could overachieve. Well, dang it. I'm going to pull myself up on my bootstraps and I'm going to look good. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to go on vacation. And you start to kind of either try to better yourself or at least try to better the persona you put online to keep up with the Joneses there. Or maybe the opposite happens. Maybe you get completely deflated. Why even try? Why bother? I'm never going to be that good. I give up. And you just kind of sink into depression and disappointment about yourself. Or, regardless of how you respond, maybe it's anxiety, sadness, jealousy, motivation. But either way, those people start to live rent-free in your mind. You just can't get them out. You can't get the comparison out of your head. And you just dwell on it and think about what you don't have, who you are not. No matter how we respond, it's all the same, though. It feels bad. This is what comparison does. See, here's the deal, though. This is what's the tricky about it. You know yourself. You know the good about you, and you know the bad. And you typically only put the good out there on social media. For instance, the fight you just had with your mom or your sibling or your boyfriend or girlfriend, you're not going to put that out there. Maybe you'll put what they said or did out there. You'll burn them. But you're not going to put the crap you said that you shouldn't have out there because it's embarrassing. But that photo you had to take 30 times to get the lighting right, you'll put that up there. Or the witty comment or remark you rewrote over and over and over. One, to make sure the spelling is right. But two, to make sure it's funny and it's good and it's a good jab. You'll put that out there because it makes you look good. Here's what's crazy. We have all perfected the art of projecting online, projecting a better version of ourselves than we actually are, that we actually know ourselves to be because we curate it. We only put the good. But the crazy thing is we somehow forget everybody else is doing that. That's not their real life either. They're not perfect. Their life isn't perfect. They're just putting up the good stuff and somewhat half-truths and even lies about the good stuff. It's their highlights. It's not their whole story. And then we will change our behavior. We'll change the way we see ourselves and the way we act based on somebody else's half-truth or even lie. This is insanity if we step back and really think about it. And comparison has become such a norm in our culture. It's just a normal thing to do. Well, here's the good news. Tonight, we're going to talk about how you can recognize when it's happening to you and how you can help change it. And I know it seems impossible in the norm of social media, but trust me, this is going to be really helpful. And so please keep watching as we turn to our Bibles. All right, so the main passage we're going to look at tonight comes from the book of Corinthians, Paul, and he's using the ancient art of sarcasm. I love it. So Paul was very, very passionate. He was one of the greatest teachers and followers of Jesus, and he would travel around and try to help people live a better life through following Jesus. Teach them the gospel, that God loves them, God made them, has a plan for their lives, all that stuff, right? Paul was great at this. And he would often go to different areas, different regions to deal with totally different kinds of people. As he traveled around, he'd start churches, and then while he was gone, he would write letters to those churches. This was Paul's way of staying connected through the social media of the day. Now, when Paul wrote a letter, Paul was very direct. I just went through with some of your life group leaders, some of the college guys, the book of 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and we would laugh our heads off at how direct Paul was at times. In love. He was always nice and loving, but he would call people out. So sometimes, believe it or not, people get offended. They start saying, well, you're calling me to do this and I'm not measuring up. And so to make themselves feel better, they would clap back at Paul. And so they would, kind of try to tear the guy down. So Paul is in the midst of, in love, calling these guys out to walk more like Jesus and having them attack his credibility. And then he writes this in 2 Corinthians 10, Verse 12. Oh, don't worry, Paul says. Sarcastically, we wouldn't dare say that we're as wonderful as these other men who tell you how important they are. But they're only comparing themselves with each other, he says. They're just using themselves as the standard of measurement. How ignorant, how stupid is that to compare yourself one person to the other? What does that tell you? What does that get you? Again, I love this sarcasm. Paul's just pointing out, comparing yourself to another person, even if you win, what does that get you? What does that tell you? Paul is saying in no uncertain terms how ridiculous it is to let your behavior or your life be based on a comparison to another person. It's ridiculous to change your behavior and try to figure out your worth based on how you measure up to someone else. Paul's saying comparing yourself, any human to another human, gets you nowhere. It doesn't do you a thing. My mom would often tell me, Jordan, there's going to be people who are better at you at some things and people who are worse. And that's for everything. Some people will be better or worse. And the internet has made this even more true, right? You think you're good at a video game because you can beat all your friends, then you get online and you get trounced, right? Maybe you're the best looking person in your class and then you go, somewhere, a big youth event, and it's like, wow, I'm not that good looking. There's some good looking people, whatever it may be. You compare yourself in your little pond and you feel good, and then you realize there's a big world out there. And so what does it get you? What does it do for you to even play that game? It's a game you will never win. So don't play it. To that point, there's a principle found in the book of Proverbs. Solomon wrote this, and Paul would have known this proverb by heart. Paul probably had it in mind as he was talking about stuff like this. It's in Proverbs 4:23. Solomon says this, above all else, this is wisdom from the wisest guy who ever lived. He says this, above all else in these matters, guard your heart. Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. The way you act, the things you believe about yourself, it comes from your heart. So guard it with everything you have. He was passionate about this. Why? Because he knew the thoughts, the behaviors, the actions, the perceptions you have, they ultimately come from your heart and your understanding. And so guard it with everything you have. I mean, the opposite is true. Comparison destroys the heart. If you want to hurt your heart, compare yourself to everyone around you. If you see a post of someone else's life, assume their life is great and yours stinks. If you see a good-looking person, assume you're ugly and they're not. If you see a talented person, oh, I stink, they're great. If you want to destroy your heart, play that game. But Solomon's saying, no, guard your heart. Don't let your worth and your abilities be tied to that. So you have to get this right. Do not compare your worth with their post. Don't compare what you know about yourself to this little truth, half-truth you know about somebody else in their highlight reel. Don't make decisions. Here's the key tonight. Don't make decisions about your worth based on what you see in others or what you think you see in others. You need to hear this. Your worth hinges upon two things. God made you. He put his image in you when he created you. God made you, and you have inherent worth because you are a son or daughter of God. God loves you, so much so that he sent his son, Jesus, to die for you. God made you, and he loves you. That's where your worth comes from. Anything else is icing on the cake. You have inherent worth that nobody can take from you because of that. So guard your heart and don't let comparison steal any of the actual worth you have or blind you to the worth that God has given you. All right, so now the question is, what do? How do you even do this? Well, fighting the temptation of comparison to have that rule over your mind and your heart, I think it starts with the word Solomon used, guard. Think of a guard guarding a castle or anything like that, right? You set boundaries and perimeters, and you are actively on guard to keep this stuff from coming in and affecting your heart, affecting the way you feel or think about yourself. You got to pay attention when you start spiraling down and step in and give yourself a break. For instance, here's a list I have. Guard your social media. Guard your Instagram. Pay attention to how it's making you feel. Guard your Snapchat, your TikTok. Guard your scrolling. Like as you're doing it, am I feeling bad? Am I feeling worse? Guard your thoughts when you're watching the rolls come in for your comment or picture. It's like, did I do that to get accolades and then attaboys? Or guard your thoughts when they're not coming in. Am I really hinging my worth on social media? Guard your comments. Guard who you follow. Guard who you interact with on social media or just in life in general. Are you watching them and feeling bad? Well, maybe you need to check yourself and realize this isn't even fair to do to them. Or maybe someone else is just complaining about their life. It puffs you up, makes you feel better. It's like, well, that's not even true either. Right? Our worth isn't hinged upon this kind of stuff. So be on guard when you start to feel this way. Whether it's in social media or real life, when you find yourself in a situation with comparison, you're not going to win. So be on guard. Pay attention. Something's trying to get your heart, and you need to put the boundaries up right away. Being on guard can be helpful in that when you feel yourself spiraling out of control, are you trying to overachieve? Are you feeling deflated and giving up? Maybe you're playing the images and words you saw online or someone else was doing over and over and over. You're playing the comparison game and you're not going to win anything for it. Be on guard when that happens. And when that happens, pay attention. Know that you're stuck in that game. Here's a few questions you can ask yourself when you get there. What things are fueling how I feel? Try to pinpoint it. Right? If a burglar kept coming in my house, I'd stop them. But if they kept coming, I'd try to figure out how are they getting in the first place. Pinpoint what's making you feel that way. What are the things you want to do because of it? Be introspective and kind of figure out, wait, what is this causing me to do or feel or want to do? And check, is that valid or is it based on a lie? What or who am I comparing myself to that brings up these feelings? Really examine and pinpoint the source of this sort of thing. We guard our hearts by paying attention to what we feel when we're tempted by playing the comparison game. Now, this seems like a big task, I know. That's why you're going to group, where you can talk through this and figure out how it plays out in your specific life and circumstance. Your leaders, no doubt, have experience with this. You're not the only one who struggles. But don't let your life, your mood, your feelings, or definitely not your worth be hinged on comparison. Don't compare your worth to their highlight reel, to their post. And what would it look like if you began to guard your heart? Imagine if you could walk with the confidence you should have by being loved by God, who has given you inherent worth no matter where you are in life. How different would your day be? How better equipped would you be to love and serve others? Again, this is a big deal in the social media world, so take this seriously. You're going to go to group if you're in person. If not, reach out to your leaders anytime. We'd love to talk with you. If you're not here in the room, we understand, but we love you. We miss you. Can't wait till you come back. And I'll talk to you real soon. All right. Bye.